lodge where we're going, and where the tragedy took place, is only a small shooting box in the heart of the Derbyshire moors. Our real home is near Newmarket, and we usually rent a flat in town for the season. Hunter's Lodge is looked after by a housekeeper who's quite capable of doing all we need when we run down for an occasional weekend. Of course, during the shooting season, we take down some of our own servants from Newmarket. My uncle, Mr. Harrington Pace, as you may know, my mother was a Miss Pace of New York, has for the last 3 years made his home with us. He never got on well with my father or my elder brother, and I suspect that my being somewhat of a prodigal son myself rather increased than diminished his affection towards me. Of course, I'm a poor man, and my uncle was a rich one. In other words, he paid the piper. But though exacting in many ways, he was not really hard to get on with, and we all three lived very harmoniously together. 2 days ago, my uncle, rather wearied with some recent gaieties of ours in town, suggested that we should run down to Derbyshire for a day or two. My wife telegraphed to Mrs. Middleton, the housekeeper, and we went down that same afternoon. Yesterday evening I was forced to return to town, but my wife and my uncle remained on. This morning I received this telegram. He handed it over to me. "Come at once, uncle. Harrington murdered last night. Bring good detective if you can, but do come, Zoe." "Then, as yet, you know no details?" No, I suppose it will be in the evening papers. Without doubt the police are in charge." It was about 3 o'clock when we arrived at the little station of Elmer's Dale. From there, a 5-mile drive brought us to a small grey stone building in the midst of the rugged moors. "A lonely place," I observed with a shiver. Havering nodded. "I shall try and get rid of it. I can never live here again." We unlatched the gate and were walking up the narrow path to the oak door when a familiar figure emerged and came up to us. "Jap!" I ejaculated. The Scotland Yard inspector grinned at me in a friendly fashion before addressing my companion. "Mr. Havering, I think. I've been sent down from London to take charge of this case, and I'd like a word with you if I may, sir." "My wife—" "I've seen your good lady, sir, and the housekeeper. I won't keep you a moment, but I'm anxious to get back to the village now that I've seen all there is to see here." "I know nothing as yet as to what exactly," said Jap soothingly. "But there are just 1 or 2 little points I'd like your opinion about all the same. Captain Hastings here, he knows me, and we'll go on up to the house and tell him that you're coming. What have you done with the little man, by the way, Captain Hastings?" "He's ill in bed with influenza." "Is he now? I'm sorry to hear that. Rather the case of the cart without the horse, your being here without him, isn't it?" And on his rather ill-timed jest, I went on to the house. I rang the bell, as Jap had closed the door behind him. After some moments, it was opened to me by a middle-aged woman in black. "Mr. Havering will be here in a moment," I explained. "He's been detained by the inspector. I've come down with him from London to look into the case. Perhaps you can tell me briefly what occurred last night." "Come inside, sir." She closed the door behind me, and we stood in the dimly lighted hall. "It was after dinner last night, sir, that the man came. He asked to see Mr. Pace, sir, and, seeing that he spoke the same way, I thought it was an American gentleman friend of Mr. Pace's, and I showed him into the gun-room and then went to tell Mr. Pace. He wouldn't give any name, which of course was a bit odd now I come to think of it. I told Mr. Pace, and he seemed puzzled-like, but he said to the mistress, 'Excuse me, Zoe, while I just see what this fellow wants.' He went off to the gun-room, and I went back to the kitchen, but after a while I heard loud voices as if they were quarrelling, and I came out into the hall. At the same time the mistress, she comes out too, and just then there was a shot and then a dreadful silence. We both ran to the gun-room door, but it was locked, and we had to go round to the window. It was open, and there inside was Mr. Pace, all shot and bleeding." "What became of the man?" "He must have got away through the window, sir, before we got to it." "And then?" "Mrs. Havering sent me to fetch the police. 5 miles to walk it was. They came back with me, and the constable, he stayed all night, and this morning the police gentleman from London arrived." "What was this man like who called to see Mr. Pace?" The housekeeper reflected. "He had a black beard, sir, and was about middle-aged, and had on a light overcoat. Beyond the fact that he spoke like an American, I didn't notice much about him." "I see. Now, I wonder if I can see Mrs. Havering." "She's upstairs, sir. Shall I tell her?" "If you please. Tell her that Mr. Havering is outside with Inspector Japp, and that the gentleman he's brought back with him from London is anxious to speak to her as soon as possible." "Very good, sir." I was in a fever of